I've been moving since I was 2. Every move, I've always said, is like an adventure.
Our vocational call in some ways becomes our family's vocational call.
And I guess you can talk about your new appointment too.
Oh my gosh.
It kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. But then I picked up my Bible. This is Pod Strangely Warmed, a place where we tell the good Methodist story, where we have conversations that invite followers of Jesus to seek after that loving, just, and free world that God imagines for us all, and have a little fun along the way. Hi, and welcome back to Pod Strangely Warmed. I'm Daniel Hawkins, your host, and it is July in the United Methodist Church, which means it's move season, and I'm excited to continue our annual tradition of talking with pastors in the midst of moves. It is July 17th as we record this, so y'all are 2 weeks in to your new appointments, and I just want to say thank you for making time to be here in the midst of a season where everything is a little wild and crazy. Today we're joined by Allie Johnson from Ovilla United Methodist Church and Ruben Saenz III from Custer Road United Methodist Church. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How many things did you have to move in order to say, I'm on the podcast today?
Only one meeting.
Okay.
And then I had to wake up really early. Avila's a little bit far down I-35, and I-35 is a wreck right now.
It's I-35.
Yeah, I think this is how I live now.
Yep. I've been alive for 41 years, and I-35 has been a wreck the entire time. And so I hate to...
I was hoping for more of a hopeful message.
Yeah, no, we're not a hopeful...
Preach good to me. Come on, tell me that I-35 is going to be better soon.
But I can't lie to you either. It's going to be a mess forever. Ruben, you had the shortest commute to get here this morning. But tell us a little bit about your new appointment.
Yeah, absolutely. So just obviously started July 1st, and it's just been a whirlwind over the last few weeks. We've had a long week last week of onboarding with the entire staff. Being a larger church, it's a larger staff, and so more people to meet and just understand how the church operates and functions, the systems in place, and then of course kind of what my role is going to be. And so coming into this setting and where I've been senior pastor for 8 years and now kind of going back into more of an associate role, but still over an area of ministry with some hopes of new and exciting future developments for expansion and growth for the church. It's an exciting season, I think, and one of the joys of being there and being good Methodist is being able to eat a lot of food, which we got to do last week. That was a big highlight. Every day, I think we had lunch with the entire staff.
Hey, that's a win. Yeah.
And so that was pretty fantastic. But as right now, I'm the Associate Minister of Connections and Membership. And so, and essentially, or as Pastor Corey, the senior pastor, would say, also evangelism. Okay. And so just helping bridge the gap with the community and the church, kind of covering some of the gaps where maybe new guests are slipping out. And so how do we help keep them inside the building and not only inside the building, but to become further connected to the life of the church and the community.
Very good.
And so, excited. I love that stuff.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's human contact, it's community networking, all that good stuff. So,
very good.
Passionate about that. Yeah.
And Allie, in your transition, you're doing a bit of the inverse, right? You're going from large church staff to senior pastor.
Yeah, I was recalling when you talked about your onboarding process, I was remembering my onboarding at Keller and the complete opposite coming to Ovilla. I met with the former senior pastor on a Monday. And then on Wednesday, I rolled into the office, and it was my first day in the office. And I had pastoral care and communications and onboarding myself and figuring out how to lock the doors and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It was all me.
Where do these keys lead to, right? Like, where do they unlock?
What does this switch do?
Yeah, I still don't know how to work the switches in the sanctuary. It's on my list.
It's all good. There's time. There is time.
There's time. Yeah. But it's been a good process getting used to it. I mean, I'm really blessed that I stepped into a situation where the senior pastor had very wise stewardship and led the congregation into a place where they're really excited for what's happening next. And so I got to come in and I'm getting to meet with people and hear what they're passionate about, and we're really doing a lot of visioning for what's going to come next for Avila.
That's fantastic.
So that's really nice.
Exciting.
Yeah, cool. It's very exciting.
Being able to walk in and not face crisis day one or day two is a gift. And we are thankful not just for the church, but for the leaders who we get to follow when we walk into those kind of moments.
Yeah, I could not have asked to follow a better person.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
You want to give them a shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. Debbie Craig, who is just, I remember her from seminary as being just a very sunny, warm person. She's very good at pastoral care. And so she has really cared for this congregation. And she led the newly renovated sanctuary. We have a brand new,
nice,
incredibly beautiful sanctuary. And on her last Sunday, they got to worship in that space for the first time. And so I got to step in the next Sunday, and it was just,
that's cool.
That's a dream.
That's a win. Yeah.
You have to come by and see it. It's really pretty.
Very good. Very good.
Awesome.
We're going to spend some time getting to know kind of what y'all are doing to kind of get acquainted in your new spaces and ways churches can help new pastors kind of find their way in their new appointments, as well as talk about the impact of itineration on our families and on ourselves as humans, because we're not just pastors moving from place to place. We're people making those changes too. But before we do that, we want to get to know you guys a little bit better. And so we have a thing that some might call show and tell, but we don't believe in calling it show and tell. We call it self on a shelf. Allie, did you bring something that kind of speaks to something important to you, or a little bit about who you are?
I did. Would you get it off of that shelf there? This is like one of the last gifts I got leaving my old appointment. It's 3D printed by a student of mine named Julian. He brought it to me like as I was moving out of my office, and it's so, he 3D printed this thing. He painted it, brought it to me, and it's so special and it's so cute.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
For our audio folks, Jesus on a dinosaur.
It is Jesus on a dinosaur. He's holding a cross. It's Julian and all of my students at Keller knew that I really love dinosaurs and I really love Godzilla. And so he was looking for a Godzilla, like Jesus on a Godzilla.
Right.
And that
just wasn't.
That wasn't.
It didn't hit.
Nobody's made it yet.
Oh, come on.
Can you believe that?
Challenge world. Jesus on a Godzilla.
Jesus
if you're
writing
a
a Godzilla.
3D print design person.
That's awesome.
But he did find this Jesus with a T-Rex. He painted it blue.
Yeah.
Is there anything better than that?
Yeah. No, that's really cool.
Cute.
That's really cool. And
so that's my guy.
And one of the gifts of ministry, I think, is lifted up here is we get to live in relationship with folks to where we know them and they know us, and we get to celebrate the unique things that come along the way.
One of my favorite things about little pieces like this is it reminds me of how we are creative as our creator is creative. And so I love this kind of stuff. It makes me so happy to see creativity happening, especially among young people in the church. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Creativity and connection all together. Yeah, very good. Ruben, if you had something, the shelf is a little vacant over there in the Ruben slot, but if you would have brought something, what is it something that you would have potentially brought to help us get to know you?
I would say it's my John Wesley Study Bible, Common English Bible that I was gifted on Father's Day when I was not yet a father from my father about 14 years ago. And, I've always said this in ministry that, my first calling was to preach and to bring and proclaim the good news to the world. Like this was always a deep calling for me. And so this Bible's kind of gone with me everywhere that I've had the opportunity to do that. Yeah. Whether it was preaching in youth retreats, leadership conferences in Rio, Texas, or into the churches I was serving at. And so I still hold that Bible dear to this day. It's kind of got like a purplish burgundy back and it's all chipped away. And so now you're starting to see like the brown leather, whatever material that is underneath coming through, and coffee stains. And I have pictures my children have drawn, notes my wonderful wife has written to me, students have written to me. I hold all that stuff dear. There's been the off occasion where I'll be preaching and I'll open the Bible, maybe to the beginning of the book, so you got fewer pages, so there's not as much weight, and all the stuff will fall out on the on the pulpit or on the floor. So that has happened to me, but it's something I carry with me everywhere I go. And so, that's what I would have brought. Okay. If you can see it, it's imaginary. Right, it's right here. So,
Well, and I love it because it speaks to that connection to family and to the congregations you've served over time. And the truth is we bring a bit of all of that with us as we embark into a new appointment, right? Absolutely. I'm in the middle of transition too, right? This is the first time we've recorded one of these when I've had to move too. And it was interesting. So my mom was ordained clergy in the Methodist Church, but we lost her in 23. And so this was the first church that I was going to serve that wouldn't know my mom, and mom wouldn't know in kind of the traditional sense of things. And before that first Sunday, it kind of just, Saturday night, you're running through your sermon, making sure you're in good space for the next day. It kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. But then I picked up my Bible. And a couple of years ago, without thinking about it, primarily because it was the large print version, I'd started using my mom's large print CEB as the preaching Bible. And it was just a reminder of that connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is still there,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And as I walk into that pulpit for the first time,
absolutely.
you know, we truly are surrounded by the great cloud of witnesses, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In something as goofy as a tangible book that we both shared, and I love going through and seeing what did you highlight, Bob?
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was just
Yeah.
the different things and different things like that. So
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. Ruben was going to throw me under the bus. Ruben is in our Preachers Fantasy Football League, and he's won it the last 2 years.
2 years in a row.
and
2 years?
Yeah, 2
years in a
years in a
row.
row.
Oh my gosh.
Now he may have a brother who's a football insider, and there may be some shenanigans going on.
He
but-
doesn't. He doesn't
Insider
help me
training.
at all.
Oh no.
And he's been asking me for a trophy for the last 2 years, and so he was gonna, could have thrown me under the bus and said the trophy was what was supposed to be on the shelf.
Shown grace.
But the
Shows
Bible
grace.
is so much
Yeah.
better,
Yeah, it
and,
is.
and grace in both ways. When we talk about transitions and moves, right? Both of you had to kind of pick up and physically move. It's not just a changing of job; it's a changing of location. Allie, this is your second move, right? You moved
Yes.
into Keller and then moved here. Ruben,
Yeah.
you've bounced around.
This is my seventh
seventh.
Wow.
Okay.
in 12 years.
Okay, I thought 7 and 17 was bad because that's what we're on. But 7 and 12 is rough.
And there's a reason for that, but we can,
Yeah.
Sure,
the
sure.
type of appointments I've had. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about kind of the things you expected as you were going into a change, right? And things that kind of worked the way you expected they would, and also maybe an unexpected challenge that you encountered in the midst of this season of move and transition.
Sure. Yeah. I think having done it now a few times, and as a local licensed pastor up until obviously this year, now I'm a provisional elder, and so our commitment to itineracies is at a different, I don't want to say level, but a different expectation as opposed to when you're a local licensed pastor. There's a little bit more, I think, conversation and expectations around that. So I've kind of been living into those kind of expectations as most elders have been their entire career over the last 12 years. And so but I think in every move, they've all varied. So it's hard to say. For me personally, probably the thing that's changed the most has just been, moving with less kids and more kids.
Okay,
that's
and
real. A smaller
Yep.
family and a bigger family. I mean, and then even further, I've been moving since I was 2.
Okay,
Right.
Yeah.
And so for me as an individual, every move I've always said is like an adventure,
Right.
a journey in which God calls us into and to go and to explore and to experience new things. And so for me, it's almost, there's this itch that starts coming up in my spirit and soul about every 3 years that
Yep.
says it's time to go, right?
Okay.
But then when you bring your family into it, who did not sign up for that, per se.
Yeah.
And you're inviting them because and I like to think of it that way. We want to invite them to be part of this journey as well, as opposed to telling them they have to do this, and then to see the value and the importance in it as well. And I think there's moments in the early stages of having a family where moves, especially within city limits. When we were in San Antonio, we moved within San Antonio, or we moved a couple hours down the road. It's different as opposed to like now we're moving completely out of one, in a sense, metroplex of San Antonio to now a DFW metroplex, which is very different culturally and in terms of spacing and city size and all of that stuff. When kids are younger, I mean, they're not going to remember.
Yeah, there's more freedom there.
I don't remember. But now, I have a 9-year-old who's about to be 10. It's not as easy.
Yeah.
and
Wait till they're a
yeah.
9th grader about to be a 10th grader.
Yeah.
Well,
And that hits even different, right?
My sister was 11th grader
Okay.
going in and moved that summer right before her
Oh my
senior year. I
goodness.
still remember that. And as a little kid, I was like, what's the big deal?
Right.
But now as I hear stories and I think of myself, if I would have moved, so I give a lot of grace and credit to my sister for being, but anyway, so I think it just varies. And I think based on stage of life too. And so I think some moves become a little more difficult than others, but ultimately I think having that understanding and that openness with family and the expectation and being very transparent about what the call means. And I don't think anything's perfect, right? But so
this is who we are, and this is what we're going to try to be.
That's what we do.
And I think if we look across the conference, we see clergy and their families managing those commitments, right? The dual commitments that we've got in different ways and different expressions, right? Yeah. I've tried to make sure that my incoming 10th grader doesn't know about David Lesnar and the choices he's made for his kids, and because he's driving 50 minutes to an hour every day of the world, right? Yeah. And that's a choice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there's impacts, good and bad on that, but keeping the family stable in schools and things was the choice there.
It was right for them, yeah.
Yeah, it was right for them. And everybody's going to navigate that in their own way to try to be faithful in the midst of this. Allie, this is your first move into a solo senior pastor role and moving kind of from the northern end of DFW back down south.
Yeah.
Tell us about your move.
I mean, if anything, what struck me in this move is a little bit what you're talking about, that we're in this very unique position where our vocational call in some ways becomes our family's vocational call. It becomes the vocational call of my friends who have supported me through this big transition, who I was really blessed to be surrounded by friends who understood my job, because like they go to churches, they kind of understand the Methodist way. And so they were able to talk me through a bunch of moves. But like their call has become a little bit being my spiritual support, my pastoral care almost comes from the lay people in my life. And so that's what struck me on this move is like how lucky I am to be supported by such an amazing village. I mean, my parents went apartment hunting for me because we were at annual conference, and I went immediately from annual conference to a week-long mission trip leading the Keller youth to like the Monday I got back was my move day.
Okay.
And so I was really blessed to be surrounded by people, like parents who were like, yeah, we'll go look at apartments. Yeah. You'll sign the lease, sight unseen. Good stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You just trust they've got good taste and know.
And I did.
They can follow a list well. It's like, here's what we want.
That was one of those things where like when people asked, how can we help you? This time I had a list of things that I needed help with. And I had a little bit more maturity and like sense this time to say like, oh yeah, I can lean on these people. I can ask them to do these things.
I don't have to do it all by myself.
Yeah. And I think my first move was a lot of they're saying they can help, but like, I need to do this by myself. And this time I was much better about using my village. So that was good.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's really good. Really good. Y'all are now 2 weeks in at church, right? We've had 2 Sundays or one, depending on, I know some folks moved in July 5, some started July 12 for church stuff. What is one thing you've seen and got to experience and that are just celebrating this early on?
Yeah. I remember after the third day, I went home and spoke to my wife, and I said, one of the things I picked up on is that as far as the team at Custer Road, they just love being there. They love their call. They love their ministry areas. They love each other. I mean, there's just a deep sense of passion and intentionality behind what they do. Yeah. And I mean, you walk by, their offices and they're either collaborating with each other or they're deep in thought in their offices. And I was just really impressed by that. And I have been impressed by that. And so I think that's been something that's really stood out to me. And I went and told the senior pastor, Corey, as well. I said, it's like, and I think this all comes from a vision and a hope for a culture that one seeks to love God in all things and to love one another and to serve the community that they've been called to serve. And even for some of the staff that don't go to Custer Road, I mean, it's their church and they care for it in that way. And so I've been super impressed by that and grateful for that. And no church is perfect.
Sure.
No staff is perfect. There's growing edges.
We're full of people.
We're people, right. But I think in essence, just that's been something that stood out to me, and I'm just grateful to be a part of it. And so the office is buzzing every day I've been there. That's good, yeah. And so there's just movement, and that's really excited me, considering kind of some of the paths I've been on the last few years. And so excited to be a part of that. Yeah.
There's an energy to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Allie, you shared with us a little bit about the gift that you inherited, right? Of a healthy church and a new space and all of that. But what is something you're seeing and celebrating?
I am seeing a lot of, this is my first up close personal experience as the leader of a small church, getting to experience how much the church members, the lay people, are the lifeblood of that place. I have gotten to see already so many ways in which volunteers, lay people fill the roles that need to happen at this church. And it's just a blessing. I came in 2 days ago, and my my tech guy, who's also kind of a sound guy, who's also our internet guy, walked in and he was like, "Hey, we noticed the AC is leaking, but we're fixing it right now." Okay. And they fixed it. And like to be able to like they have kept this church running and going. They know this church inside and out, and they are constantly checking on the things that I don't yet know to check on. And so it's been really awesome to watch how this church comes together to care for each other.
That is really
fantastic.
Cool. Yep. And one of the great gifts, I think, of our small and mid-sized churches is you get to see, even in our large churches, it just shows up a little differently, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
How our lay people are the folks who really do kind of hold the church together.
Absolutely.
And hold that, not just the fixing of the air conditioners piece, but like that core identity. Who are we and who is Jesus calling us to be through seasons of transition and change?
Yeah, I keep asking. I'm like, one of the things that I've been trying to find out from my congregation so far is why this church? I mean, I think that's kind of we're on the edge of the Dallas Metroplex. We are in spitting distance of 5 different denominations. There's another United Methodist church right across I-35, which is a mess, but you can get there. Okay. So why this church? And what I've heard time and time again, and again, I'm only 2 weeks in, is this church, they take care of each other. They care for each other. They check in on each other. They've seen themselves through really difficult times. Yeah. And so this is their family, and it's really wonderful to be able to step into a place that has that kind of feeling.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is really good. As you guys are stepping into this kind of new season, Allie, you gave us a window into one thing you're doing, right? Your place of curiosity is why this church. But what's something intentionally as a pastor that you've said, I'm going to pour my energy into for this first couple of weeks, first couple of months, really throughout this first year, that is just like, if I can do this well, right? Because we all get caught up in the tyranny of the urgent sometimes, right? But what's the one thing that you're going to do your best to intentionally focus your time, energy, and effort on?
I think for me right now is just asking questions. I mean, I tend to have a bit of a analytical brain. I like to come into places and kind of observe and to, in the process, also learn and then ask the right questions. The last few appointments I've had have been more revitalization-driven styles of churches that did not give me the luxury of waiting a year to do things, right? And so you learn about the art of change. How can you make impacts maybe quicker, sooner for churches or places or settings that are in need of that. And a lot of that comes from asking the right questions.
Right.
And so that's something I've always just kind of covered. And I think that's something you can carry into no matter what the circumstance situation. We're here at Custer Road, maybe it's not as urgent in that sense where we gotta change things or else we're gonna run out of money in 6 months.
Right,
you know?
Right. But curiosity still is a gift.
It's so important. It allows for those you're serving with to be heard and to voice their hearts and their concerns, their hopes, all those things. And I think in that there's an empowering element to it too. And then for self as well, to be able to get a better sense of context and the environment and the culture, all of that. And so because you do want to be respectful, right? I'm new to this. And many of these, the people in which we come into service with in these churches have been here way longer than I have, right? And so that's also, I think, a show of respect for the work and journey they've been on, and not to come in and just, in other words, just bulldoze into with assumption. And so for me, that's, I just sent out to my team a 30 to 45 day, kind of outlook. And in that, right out the gate was learning what is ours to do. That's first. Yeah. And, I've even gone as far, and I think because this setting's a little different, but, for instance, I took a church in San Antonio where I didn't have any staff. We were having to let go of some staff. Right. So it kind of turned more towards the congregation. And so I set up over a 45-day period, just one-on-one meetings with the congregation, as many of them as they wanted. And so I went to their homes, coffee shops, at church, and just asked questions. And, and if they asked, I would share my thought. And But the value in that, I think, was really transforming, I think, for the congregation. And again, for myself to be able to come in and to be able to faithfully serve in a way that can be effective and helpful and grace-filled and all that. So, yes, so a lot of questions are being asked. And I think questions don't have to be always critical, right?
Sure.
It's not that they're trying to be critical. We're
It's curious.
we're trying to give a respect.
Help me
also.
understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that we can celebrate with you.
Absolutely.
Not just find the thing to fix.
So you can
but-
first figure out what
Yeah.
do we do well?
Yeah.
And it's a lot.
Well, and you and I both have moved 7 times.
Yeah.
And I've been in tiny churches and big churches and everything kind of in between. And in each context, there's been an expression of the normalizing of whatever the unique gift of that place has been.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right, yeah.
Where people
Yeah.
have kind of gotten accustomed to, well, yeah, that happens, but that happens everywhere. And the truth is, whatever that is, it doesn't happen everywhere, right?
Yeah.
At Martin, the kind of, well, yeah, of course we're a multilingual, multicultural community that has this vibrant kind of vivid expression of who we are. That happens everywhere. Well, not really, right?
Yeah,
And so part of the curiosity for me has helped celebrate the things that people forget to celebrate, right? Like this is a good deal that's happening right here in your place, right? God is being glorified in this. Community is being formed in this.
Yeah.
Good news is being shared in this. And you take it for granted just because it's become normal here, right?
Yeah.
But let's see it and celebrate it and make sure we don't forget that this is good.
Yeah.
Allie, what about you as you step into a new place?
Well, it's interesting. You talk about things becoming normal. I think that as clergy, it can be normal to move from one place to another and to, if we're not careful, to go in with the mindset of, well, I'm your new clergy person. I'm a trustworthy person. Like we can right off the bat, we can get to the deep stuff, the hard stuff. And I'm finding myself, deliberately slowing down and saying, no, trust is built.
Yeah.
It's earned. Maybe they can go and watch my old sermons on Facebook. Maybe they can look for like devotionals I've written, but like I am a new person to this congregation. I'm a different person than their last pastor.
Right.
And so it's on me to share of myself and to then, whatever I say I'm going to do, I got to do it. I have to follow through. I have to listen. I have to share, and I have to not prove myself trustworthy, but I have to build that trust with this congregation. And so that's a lot of what I want to focus on in the next 30 to 60 days.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's huge. That's huge. I think the more we can prioritize people, right? I mean,
100%.
both of you have named it in a different
Absolutely.
way, but preaching matters. Right. And that fun gift of our friend Mo, right? If you can build some momentum in your ministry area, in the church,
Get those early wins.
get the early wins.
Sure.
Yeah.
Rack them up.
yeah.
It makes a difference, not just in how the church responds to you, but how that little inner anxiety in every season of transition, right? That's, are we going to be okay? Right? Finds its answer in a clear and abundant, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As you've made your way through transitions, what have been 1 or 2 things that the church has done that have helped you kind of step in to your role in a way that helps you build trust, or in a way that helps you kind of have your feet underneath you as you start in a new play?
Do you mean as like in this single specific or just in general?
I think in general, right? If you've got multiple moves, what are some things that churches, because we've got good Methodist church nerds who listen to our podcast who may be getting a new pastor themselves in this. What are some kind of things that have been a gift to your soul as you've come into different appointments over time that folks might consider?
I mean, sharing a meal is huge. I've had the privilege of going to lunch with my church both Sundays. It seems like it's a pattern that's going to continue. And just the ability to, one-on-one meetings are good. And it's good to set time to speak with the people in your church who do specific roles. But there's some fellowship that's found around a meal that I really love and appreciate. And it allows you to be a little more casual. Like we're not meeting for a specific purpose. The specific purpose is to share food.
Yeah.
And so that's, the meals that I've shared with my congregation so far are they're special and they're important.
Yeah. I've been a advocate for churches considering, and also exiting pastors to consider, being more open to allowing for some overlap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, again, in being in experiences where you're going into something where you got to be a bit more urgent. And even if you don't have to be, there's some value in being able to have some lead up in terms of understanding and context, being able to at least come in with a pool of individuals that you're already familiar with, that point persons in whom I can go to. In most of the appointments that I've taken, either because I asked if it was allowable, or it was just naturally done. And asking permission is always important too,
for sure,
because you don't want to overstep boundaries. Understanding my job doesn't start till my work doesn't start till July 1st, and being respectful of that always. And so, but I do think there's ways you can have conversations in the lead up that I think can be effective and helpful to allow you to essentially be, maybe 2-3 steps ahead, as opposed to starting from scratch, and so, and especially for the cases where, and it's been for some, your first day is on a Sunday, July 1st on a Sunday, that's difficult, especially. And so, what do you know of the congregation if there's been kind of this maybe, graciously saying, a reluctance to allow for any kind of previous conversations outside of the introduction. And I wouldn't say, the introduction is great, but it's hard to cover a lot of ground there.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll use an example when I went to Genesis, the pastors gave me permission, and I had meetings with the SPR folks, with the trustee folks. I had a few congregants that I was allowed to speak to, and just to kind of get a grasp of what was happening. And so I think if normalize that a bit, and maybe there's a system, there's a process, whether it's a 90-day, where it's not also feeling like it's a ton of extra work.
Sure.
But just for the sake of preparation and equipping.
Well, just the beginning of relationships and the signaling of, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I know in the last 3 transitions, the transition has come late enough in the cycle that like the summer schedule is already set.
Yeah.
And so things like mission trip and vacation Bible camp or school, whatever you want to call it, are set for June. Right?
Yeah.
And we've had gracious DSs, pastors who've said, you can come a week early because VBS is
I got
the week,
to do that with my kids.
To FaceTime. Just have FaceTime with people, or you can come pray with the youth before they go on mission trip or receive them when they come back, right? Those small things just say, I'm excited to be here, and you begin to build some relationships.
I mean, I did see on Facebook, you got to do a lot of pre-onboarding. I saw they posted a lot of you on their Facebook, which I think was awesome.
Daniel Humbert was a gift in terms of, and real collaborative in that season of helping us onboard together well. And Trietsch, kind of like Custer Road's got a machine, right? The comm staff does really good work. And so some of that, they were able to amplify 3 or 4 moments of connectivity that, kind of got to spread even farther than that.
That's awesome.
So, but it was
I thought that was really cool. Especially
good.
going in the senior role of a church that size.
Well, in a church that hasn't experienced transition all that often.
Because how long was
Daniel was there for 12 years.
Wow.
And then John Allen had been there for 6 or 7. And then Jim Osier had been there for nearly 20 before. So they're talking about 3 pastors in 40 years.
Oh, Jim Osier was
which
there.
is crazy.
Jim was the one who built it.
Got it.
And the Osier shadow still remains. Yes, it still looms. But he's been nothing but a gift too. He's been an encouragement and all that. So
that's awesome.
Very good.
It's an adventure, man.
It is.
That's all it is. And we get to, and it's like you think about how our connection just deepens in every move. And like that's what I try to teach my kids too. I'm like, you go from just knowing a handful of folks to now knowing a multitude, and like what a gift that is to be in touch with all God's people.
You talk about Glen Lake Camp, right?
Yeah.
Abby was in your cabin this year, and camp has been the grounding place. Like she did the Eli, which is like the junior counselor thing this summer, in part because in one more season of change, camp has been the grounding place.
Constant,
And so in that cabin were kids from 4 different churches that she's known and had relationships in 4 different seasons of life, and were able to like stay connected through that kind of thing. And so.
True. Well, and it's also a place where, like, she was not the only preacher's kid in our cabin, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, there's kind of this fellow feeling where, like, the other girls were able to be like, I've been through that. Yeah. It's okay. Like, you're going to be okay.
We need to have, like, a discipleship group for, like, pastors' kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Like an accountability group. We really do.
Well, or like a support group.
Yeah.
And it was special for me, too, because, like, we're talking in small group, and she's talking about moving, and I'm talking about moving. Like, we've got, there's a lot in common there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some correlation with like military kids, you know, in the
Yes.
sense of like
Yeah.
moving, you know, but I think in the sense of ministry where so much of it is like you live in a glass bubble, right? You know, and so,
Yeah.
you know, where, you know, in military, I think sometimes you have the veil of secrecy or whatever it might
Sure.
be and not being able to be so public with things. In ministry, everything is public.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and so I think it's a different kind of vibe. But yeah, you know, just saying that, I mean, I'm grateful that I was a pastor's kid. We're all pastor's kids, but I grew up with some pastor's kids that are nowhere near the church anymore.
Yeah.
Because they grew in resentment, you know, over whether the moving, leaving friends. It's a lot, you know, it's a
it
lot,
is.
you know, for children, especially today, you know, to be established where they are and to feel a sense of belonging and purpose.
Yeah.
I feel like that's more prominent now than even when I was in school, like
Yeah.
that need for belonging and purpose. And so when you interrupt that, like it's tough.
It is. But I mean, hopefully, these days there's a lot more ways that we're able to keep in contact with each other. And so hopefully, I don't know, hopefully that alleviates a little bit what's going on.
It's like I was telling my wife, I was like, my son's just got to get to his first day of school. Like, and it's just like in football, you got to take your first hit, and
it'll all be
you
good.
just roll,
Yeah.
And then you're all set.
and God does the rest.
Well, and one of the gifts, I think, one of the places that our churches can be a real help, and Trietsch has done nothing but good for our girls, is be as intentional and invitational as possible. Like, you know, the family ministry staff there has been just, and the volunteers have been a gift to say to our kids, hey, here's all the things that are happening. We want to make sure you're here. We're going to, like, we had two, a high school sophomore and a high school senior who volunteered with Merge, which is the 5th and 6th graders. And like, they were hollering Chloe's name from across the parking lot, right? Like just simple things to say, hey, we see you. We're glad you're here.
you're
You
one of
matter.
us
You're
now.
one of us. Come on.
That's
That has been a gift to my dad's soul, right? As we make a change.
Absolutely.
So,
100%. I agree.
Well, and I think it's important too to like in leaving Keller, I had a good 2-month heads up. Hey, you're going to move. We don't know where, but that gave me the ability to prepare my students and the church and to talk with excitement about, you're going to get this new person. We don't know who it is yet, but it's going to be such a blessing that like you're going to learn so much from them that you didn't learn from me, and to be able to set that person up well. And then to go to Ovilla and be able to display the same respect for my predecessor and excitement in coming in. Like there's something about leaving really well and being blessed in the same way at the new place I'm going to. Like I went to an ad council meeting at the end of May at the new place, and like they had a little reception for me afterward, and it was very cool to be able to, like, I sat back, I didn't talk in that meeting, I got to see the church at work, and then I got to meet everybody, and that was very important.
I think there's some value in being able to allow or to have the opportunity for folks to get to know you outside of the work before you start the work.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and so it begins to build that foundation and that base. And so, yeah, I agree. I think I've been blessed to have that at just about all the appointments, especially over the more recent ones. So, yeah. Yeah.
One like very specific thing I would say is like where you can try to meet up with your delegation at annual conference.
Oh, for sure.
Like I got to have lunch with Pastor Debbie and our 3 delegates, and like that meal broke the ice a little bit. And I don't know this for sure, but I hope that they went back to the church and said, hey, we met her. We saw her at lunch.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
You know,
we're going to be okay.
Yeah. So like do where you can, share a meal together.
Yeah.
One note I'd give for for churches who have pastors who are outgoing, right? The discipline allows for us to, once a quadrennium, take a month for spiritual formation leave and renewal. And many pastors are hesitant to ask for that. If you've had a pastor for more than 4 years and they haven't taken it while they've been at your church, encourage them to take it for the June of transition.
Sure.
Because not just showing up relationally connected and ready for the new place, but to have your soul to have had 100%. A moment of Sabbath and rest 100%. Before you, because the first year in a new place is a sprint.
Yeah.
You know, there's a level of you are just going because that's what the work calls you to and what your spirit wants in that season. Yeah. But to be able to have that pause before the sprint is a real gift. And Martin gave that to me. Keller gave it to me when I left 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And to have it in those 2 moments allowed me to show up at the new place different than I would have shown up otherwise. Yeah. And so if our churches can encourage because sometimes they're hesitant to ask for that kind of thing, right? We don't want to be needy. We don't want to, but it's clear it's in the discipline. It's there. and it's a way of expressing our thanksgiving for the clergy person who's been good to our church and good to our soul for the previous period of time.
Yeah. In football terms, an off season.
An off season, yes.
An off season.
Yes.
Get yourself equipped and ready to go.
Yeah.
Especially since there is no off season.
I mean, you get your vacation days and all that, but it's you come right back into it. So
Advent, Christmas, Lent, and Easter, and then summer is when we feel all the
summer is its own thing.
Yeah. No,
absolutely.
If the definition of psychotic thinking is to experience the same thing again and again and expect it to change, the church version of that is when things slow down, right? Because they never do, right? It's just,
it will never be slow.
No,
There's
you'll have
never a
2 days after Easter, and then it's just the way it goes. Allie, thank you so much for taking time to be here today. Ruben, thank you for being here today, and thank you for being with us on Pod Strangely Warmed. We hope that this conversation has been helpful if you are in the midst of going through a season of pastoral change and transition, or we hope it's helpful for the next time you walk through one of these. Until next time, I'm Daniel Hawkins, and this is Pod Strangely Warmed. This has been Pod Strangely Warmed. If you enjoyed our conversation today, know that you can find us anywhere you find podcasts. On Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, any and all the places, we are there. So if you want to continue the good United Methodist conversation that you've been a part of today, find us, like us, rate us, review us, and share with a friend so that the good news that is happening right here in our own midst can amplify even more.
When this comes out,
it'll be
over.
Be over by then. Yeah.
My prediction is Spain 2-1.
Oh.
Okay.
So,
Probably not.
If I get that right, will you please put that, Dustin? Okay.
Put it into your way.
All right. Awesome.
Just flash the score. Wrong.
I'm it has to be perfectly aligned there. Sorry. A little OCD.
Yeah, you're in good company here.
I don't know what Allie brought, but this is my item.
My dinosaur Jesus.